Welcome, welcome, welcome on another episode of Creatives Corner. My name is James Dale, and I'm here with my next guest, Mr. James Black. James Black is the founder and owner of Third Eye FC and Consciously Cool Culture. Third Eye FC is a local soccer club aiming to fully professionalize its operations and play at the highest levels. Consciously Cool Culture is a custom sports apparel brand as well, and based in Bloomfield, Connecticut, serving multiple professional athletes and sports teams in 4 countries and counting. Mr. James Black, welcome.
Peace. Happy to be here,
Oh,
man. Thanks for the
beautiful.
invite.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. We go back like spinal cords and reclining seats. Back when I was on the poetry circuit, book signing circuit. I met Mr. James Black, and he pretty much had this poetry series called Flowers on the Bloom, and it was, he don't know, it was my first time doing a open mic,
Word.
doing poetry, and I was highly nervous, but the people that was there, they was very welcoming, and it quelled my nervousness, and I was able to execute the poem, and I got great reviews on it. But enough about me. Everything is about Mr. James Black here. And we want to know a little bit more about you, so my audience to know the ins and outs of Mr. James Black. So my first question is, who is Mr. James Black?
Mm. James Black. I'm simply a human being, mind, body, spirit,
Okay.
who aims to excel at everything that he does, and I'm hoping that through me excelling, I'll inspire others to excel in everything that they do.
That's good. So you got to walk the walk in order to for you to talk the talk, and while you do that, people are going to watch you, whether you are successful or you are failing at life. But the one thing about failing, you can't stop once you fail. You have to fail forward. You once you get into any kind of pitfalls in life, you have to make sure that you learn from that mistake and try not to make it a part of you. Try to make it not bog you down and hold you in that situation. Learn from it, and try to inspire other people not to make the same mistake. So is there anything in the on the horizons that you want to accomplish that you haven't accomplished yet?
Absolutely. They're myriad things. Multifaceted in my approach to creativity. So there are a long list of skill sets that I've acquired over the years. But at the moment, in spite of all that I do and want to do, the main focus is to grow my sports apparel brand to the point where we're seeing eye to eye with Nike, Adidas, Puma. You yourself, you have an apparel brand, so you understand the inner workings of creating a business, growing the brand, ensuring that you're constantly connecting with your audience or your client base. But that's one thing that's on the horizon. Another thing on the horizon is the sports club. Third IFC is a soccer club. We want to fully professionalize it. What do we mean by that? We want to ensure that we're giving our audience and client base the greatest experience, and in order to do that, we must have the best players available. We must have the best amenities. By that we mean the stadium setting, so that we can give a full experience, and therein all of my creative pursuits will come full circle: the visual art, the music, the poetry, the designing, the athleticism, the sports inclinations, so that when people come there, it will be an experience they'd want to share with others, so they
Hmm.
again come and help us to grow.
And I know, being a Connecticut resident, and Connecticut has a wide population of people from the Caribbean, and football, not soccer. They only call it soccer here in the States. Football is the number one sport in the world. So I want to ask you, what prompted you to start your own football club?
Oh, that's a beautiful journey. I've always enjoyed the sport of soccer, football, whichever you like. And on a sidebar, just so people understand, the reason it's called soccer is because when the game was originally founded in England, it used to be called association, something, something, something. So the word soccer is an abbreviated form of what it was originally called, even before it was called football.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I'm going to
we're gonna
research that.
Yeah,
and,
we're gonna do the
and
research.
we're going to definitely
So-
put that out there.
So leave
and
the Americans alone.
Yes,
It's
leave
not,
them alone.
It's not that far fetched because the Americans primarily, well, in the onset, came from England. So
Yeah,
they brought that with them.
I think a lot of cultures has been inspired by England, and I use the term inspired loosely. We don't want to get into
Forcefully inspired.
the issue or the history behind that, but we are here now, and we speak in the language that we speak now. The cultures that we have now is due in part to the British. So we want to thank the British for colonizing the world, but that is not the focus of today. The focus of today is inspiring the people out there to be the best versions of themselves. So you say that you want the soccer to culminate all of your ambitions.
Oh no! Before we go there, how did I get into soccer?
Yes, that was my question.
Oh,
That's
right.
my question. I wanted to make sure that the people know how soccer is going to help culminate all of your ambitions into one.
Yeah, so I've always played cricket and soccer since a tender age. And some of my experiences growing up in Jamaica weren't always favorable. I wasn't the greatest athlete, never had an opportunity to play a lot growing up. So when I finally tried to play competitively, I was way behind. That's one of the things that caused me to want to create an environment that's safe and that allows for the development of mind, body, and spirit, because many people who were athletic in their pursuits, they fell short in terms of their academics, they fell short in terms of the spirituality. So along the spectrum, somebody is always behind in one regard or the other. I wanted to create an environment that allowed for the holistic growth of the human being as he sought to achieve his goals. I've come across many athletes who were very good on the field, but off the field they never had proper media training, never understood the importance of reading a contract, never knew the language of contracts. And again, those are some of the things that fuel the inspiration to create our own club. Notwithstanding, I don't see many professional sports teams owned and operated at the highest level by people who look like me.
Mhm.
Additionally, I've come across varied owners and coaches. Some have inspired me and some have not. The ones who've inspired me have showed me that you don't necessarily have to be abrasive in your approach to bring about the best results. So those are some of the things that fueled the drive to create this environment at Third IFC.
Okay, so you mentioned holistic approach and being able to for the players to be professionals, as a business people, because a lot of people out there, whether they are the talent in this case is soccer players, they focus on their athleticism and not the business aspect acumen about that. So how are you going to be different than other owners by teaching your players to be more business minded and learning how to read contracts and be more business savvy and don't have to rely on an agent to think for them in that regard?
And first thing, you have to recruit the right people, because you can't force a horse to drink water, you can't force the rock up the hill. You have to find people who are pliable, willing and ready to learn, and then in the environment itself you have to have people who they will look up to, because as human beings we like to mirror people who we admire. So we have older people who have older players who've played at the highest level in North America in the MLS, who they can emulate. Notwithstanding, on entering the club we introduce you to things like learning platforms like Coursera. It's not a 4-year degree program, but at the end of your tenure you get a certificate, and you're not paying $1 billion. You just pay simply $50 and you get your certificate. And you can do a 6-week course, a 4-week course. You learn about contracts. You can study at the best universities in the world. You can study American contract law at Yale over the course of 4 to 6 weeks. And even if you don't understand all the jargon, you come away with a better understanding of what you are are getting into as a professional athlete, rather than depending on somebody else to be your brain. It's called public speaking is another thing, because you are constantly faced with media in this day and age. What's it called? Toastmasters. We encourage the players to join Toastmasters. We're not asking for perfection, but you must understand that as you speak, you're representing yourself, and that image that that is impressed on a person's mind when you open your mouth can be lasting. It can determine whether or not a major corporation moves forward with you, and that's dollars. We all need the bag at some point in time. We don't want to be like the former athlete who leaves everything on the table and simply focuses on how fast I can run, how high I can jump, and then at the back end of our career we complain how we were hoodwinked. Nah, take personal responsibility and accountability for who you are becoming.
And that's one of the things for the future. And I'm not sure if other owners out there, not just in soccer, but other types of sport, if they try to instill that accountability in their athletes, because again, the owners are normally the most paid person in the room when a meeting is conducted. But based on what you're saying, is you want to help educate your players to be the best version of themselves, so they can be literal people, literally financially literate, and be better people once their athleticism fails them, and that by learning about the business that can inspire them to be business owner themselves, and that will make sure or ensure that a lot of owners will more look like yourself, Mr. James Black, and we'll have a bigger semi-professional, or is it professional?
We're now semi-professional, but we're moving towards fully professionalizing. So corporate America, please jump on board.
No, we're not asking please. We are demanding that we get on board, and the only way that you can be at the table is to be presented well. You have to move as if you belong at the table. You know, if you beg to be at the table, then you give the other person who's at the table.
I'm not begging.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No, you know, but I'm still going to use the word please, because I firmly believe in manners. I believe that what I accord you, you should accord me. I say please to my son, I say please to my wife, I say please to my players. It's not a position of, I'm not condescending to anybody. This is a language that was thrust upon me through my education. It's of utmost importance for us to understand that being mannerable, being cordial doesn't make you less. It doesn't put you in a position of condescension. In the world of business, yes, you may enter an environment where it's dog eat dog, or whatever they want to call it, but you don't have to succumb to what is. You be firm in your principles, you be firm in your agreements, you be firm in who you are, but it doesn't mean that you can't be gentle, you can't be meek. There are other ways you can be fierce. You understand?
Yes, that's good.
Think and grow rich. You must be personable.
Right. And we all, in order for us to be friendly, we have to have friends. We have to learn how to be friendly.
Exactly.
As well, we got to be presentable.
That's Book of Proverbs.
Right. If you don't, then you scare people away, because they say that individual is difficult to talk to. And that leads me to another question that I have. Is there a specific criteria that you have when you are recruiting players in your club? Do they have to have be multifaceted? Do they have to have certain criteria, personality-wise, athleticism, in order for you to accept them into your ball club?
Absolutely. Now, it goes both ways. It goes both for staff and it goes for players. We have a running, not necessarily a rubric, but we have a standard that we set out. You must be marketable, you must be coachable, you must be teachable, you must have particular tenets of your character that are amenable. Why? Because once you sign up as a soccer player for the club, you automatically sign up as a brand ambassador for the brand. The brand for the club and or clothing brand. And who we are and what we represent will be carried by you. And in the world of business, it only takes a microsecond for somebody to make a decision that we're gonna cancel you because you are saying one thing and then you're portraying another thing. There's dissonance in your agreement. And even though we're looking to develop members of our community, we also want to look for those gems in the community that may be uncut or unpolished and further put them in a place to excel and have them be the inspiration to the others who may not necessarily meet the bar at the moment. But it's not as though the door is closed, but the standard must be set so that we have a foundation upon which to build our company and our brand. And we're very serious about that.
Okay. Do you go out and recruit these players, or do they come to you and try to find you because you are an owner and your ball club is known?
It's a bit of both. No, we have staff, we have the head coach, we have our recruiters. They understand who and what we are, and they've identified the players that can help us to excel both on the field and on the field. And the same goes for the clothing line. Now, the higher we go and the more we excel, is the more people who are in alignment with where we're going reach out, and the more we do well on the pitch and the better competitions that we enter, who we are markets itself, and those players reach out.
Okay. So once a player gets signed to your ball club, you said they get signed to your apparel line. Is that something that is a certain time frame that they have to be committed to your ball club? This is a double question I'm trying to get the answer for. If they sign with your ball club, would there be it would be an exclusive contract with you, meaning if they are interested in another ball club, would they be able to sign with that ball club without any backlash or anything?
It depends on the level, because at this level, semi-pro and amateur level, you want players to be playing as much as possible so that they can continually grow. But as we grow as a club and as we enter into higher levels of competition, is the more it will be skewed towards play for us only. Why? Because in sports there are varied philosophies that will be passed on from each team, and there are varied styles of play. Now, when you get to a place where you're entering competitions with elite players, you want to ensure that you maintain a level of harmony, and your harmony can be disrupted when a person moves from environment to environment. You bring all of the energy from the elsewhere where you're playing to the club. You bring varied styles. For example, we play a possession style based in passing and moving. Some other teams play more direct, where it's free form, it's all of just running towards the goal, and that compromises some of our playing values and philosophies. But we remain flexible for the moment. But we have a 2 to 3 year plan where it's going to be skewed towards you're playing for us solely.
Okay.
And with respect to the brand, there's little room for compromise there, because where apparel is concerned, everybody's our competitor, including you, my friend.
Yeah.
But that's on a lighter note. But for real though, we are aiming to compete with the likes of Puma, Adidas, and all of those on the market. Hummel, that's in East Hartford. So where the apparel is concerned, we try to ensure that per your contract, you're sporting our apparel only. Where shoes are concerned, because yes, we do have shoes too. It's even more serious. There's no room for compromise.
Okay. So your players, are they needed, or do you require them to wear the apparel outside of the field? Are they required to promote the apparel brand on their social media accounts? Are they required to talk about that stuff with the friends and things of that nature, or is it something that they have to wear while they are on the field?
Well, once you're playing for the club, yeah, you'll wear the apparel. That's non-negotiable. But off the field, we remain flexible per marketing. Absolutely, they have their roles, their varied roles, where they market the apparel through their social media channels. We have different types of brand ambassadors. Some are more corporate in their approach, where they approach other sports teams and they bring sales in. Some are more for marketing purposes, where they function as models. So there are varied roles and responsibilities relative to their skill sets, because you don't want to funnel somebody or shoehorn somebody into something that they're uncomfortable with.
Right.
Okay, because you're a player, you have to be present at media day every single time. Not everybody's comfortable with that. But what are you good at? When you turn the table a little bit and the focus is more on what skill sets do you have and what are you happy doing. And you don't have to force anybody to do anything.
Right, because they will do it
They
on their
do
own.
it automatically.
Yeah, right,
Some
right.
people, they just love the camera. You don't have to tell them.
Yeah.
You give them the clothes. They shoot videos and photos all day long.
Right. So
No questions asked.
So with the apparel line, do you have your apparel line in stores, or is it exclusively online where people could get it?
It's by and large online. So there's the athletic wear and there's streetwear,
Okay.
and we also serve other clubs, other teams from the various sports. So those are done B2B, business to business. So
Mhm.
they let us know what they want, and we get it to them, and we help them. We consult with them to help them to set up their team stores. But with respect to what we do, because it's custom sports apparel,
Mhm.
you don't necessarily find what we do in stores, because we're not doing the big box type stuff. So it's done to order, and it can be done online. If there's a particular line, and this comes from the brand ambassadors as well, they say that, oh, we feel like this hoodie is fire,
Mhm.
and we think it should be available online, and no sweat.
Okay.
And it's done, and it's available in the online store.
Okay, so do you have specific designers that design the streetwear, and you mentioned that you serve other ball clubs, so that means that their design and is going to be on that their apparel, so you could play against that ball club, and you are supplying their uniforms, and you're kicking their butt on the field,
Yeah,
and
they're two different businesses.
they're wearing your okay.
They're two different businesses. Again, let's just re-emphasize. Third IFC is a soccer club.
Okay.
Consciously Cool Couture is a athletic wear brand. Two separate businesses. They don't collide. In fact, Consciously Cool is a sponsor of Third IFC. Consciously Cool makes apparel for brands for sports teams all across the Northeast and
Okay.
in 4 different countries.
Okay, so Consciously Cool apparel. Right?
Consciously Cool Couture.
Couture, Consciously Cool Couture, 3 C's. Say that 3 times fast. You have the streetwear and you have the apparel, right?
Streetwear and athletic wear.
Okay, streetwear and athletic wear. How did you come about doing that? Which one came first? Did the Third Eye FC come first, or did the Consciously Cool Couture come first?
Third IFC is a soccer club.
And which one did you start first?
I wouldn't necessarily look at it in that regard, because they both happened at the same time.
Okay.
I've always been an athlete, always been creative. I'm a visual artist, graphic artist.
Mm-hmm.
So they happened in tandem with each other.
Okay.
I'm like that. I'm multifaceted in my approach, multidimensional, and I'm usually doing myriad things at the same time because of the exigencies that be and the goals that were set. I decided to have those two be a focus. But again, we delegate, so it's not me doing everything all day, every day. I'm really good at delegating. So while I am here, there's somebody manufacturing clothes. While I'm here, the coach is assembling his team. While I'm here, the players are doing what they ought to do. Designers are doing what they need to be doing. That's the approach to a successful business.
Right.
Delegating.
Right. So, you being a soccer player, you being a designer, you being a graphic artist, you know every aspect of both of your businesses. Was it a point with your business where you did everything, or did you have in your mind that you wanted to employ people to make sure that your brand grows and your soccer club grows?
I don't think at any point I was doing everything, because once you've made your plan and you understand the scope of your vision, there may be times where you're doing a lot, but never everything. If you're skillful in communicating, if you're skillful with dealing with people, if your vision is true and believed firstly by you, you're gonna inspire people, and people are going to come on board. People are gonna volunteer. People are gonna ask how they can help. So that was the blessing that I had. Said, yo, here's the vision.
Okay.
Oh, cool. Let's do it.
Okay.
People, I was never, and I have never been in a position where I'm always doing everything all by myself. There are days when it feels that way, but couldn't be further from the truth.
Okay.
They're friends, they're family members, they're players, people who you just come across who at some point in the journey offer themselves wholly, and they made the burden lighter and made the journey fun and inspirational.
And that's a good thing. So,
Yeah.
as it stands now, do you still have the core people working with you that you had at the beginning when you started Third Eye FC and Consciously Cool Couture?
No, not particularly, and it would be remiss of me if I said that were to be the case, because I believe firmly and strongly in growing and growth, and those are things that challenge people, and not everyone wants to be challenged. I believe also in rapid growth, and that makes people very uncomfortable. I operate in that sphere, in that realm where I'm constantly uncomfortable because I deliberately put myself in those situations. I want to be in that room where I know the least. I want to be in circumstances where I have deadlines and crunch times, because that forces growth. That's the baptism by fire. That's that pressure cooker situation. Not everybody's au fait with that, and there are people who've politely told me that this is too much, and I'm okay with that because I say that from the jump. Is this what you want to do? Here's the scope of the vision. And there's some people who are on for the ride, on for the journey. There's some people who just want to experience a bit of the now, but they were never meant to be there for the long haul. And that's how business has always been, any undertaking, any venture.
And that's just pretty much life.
That's life.
Yeah, where you are now and who you have around you today is not necessarily who you need or should you have in your life tomorrow. Because people are there for a season to help you move along, and you to them. It's a vice versa thing. Each one's supposed to teach one in moving into the next stage of evolution. So having Third Eye FC and Consciously Cool Couture, what do you have planned for is the next stage in your evolution? What do you have on the agenda that you want to accomplish next year?
Oh, that's private. That's all written down.
Okay.
I'm sorry, world.
Oh boy.
It'd be lovely to share it with you, but
Okay.
I'd rather you experience it as it's being announced
Okay.
and as it hits the market.
So
But
that means you have a 5-year plan.
oh, longer than that. 5
Okay.
years, that's short.
Okay. You got a 10-year plan. So folks out there who's working a 9 to 5 and working to see next Friday, next payday, and looking to buy that Gucci bag or a pair of shoes, you have to set out a plan to accomplish all of your goals, and all of your monetary gains will come to you if you put in the work. So the way of the world is that you put your best foot forward, you put positivity out in the universe, and positivity comes back to you. And that has been your experience, yes, Mr. James Black?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
We don't live in a perfect world. You can
Okay.
put out all the positivity in the world and you can still receive negative in return. There's not always the case of reciprocity. Sometimes that positivity that you put out in the boomerang effect takes a longer time than you anticipate. What we have to do is have a mindset where we're living in the now, we're living in the present moment, we're not taking things personally, we're learning from each moment, and the focus has to be a little bit on who are you becoming, who am I becoming as a person. The person that's giving me what I perceive to be negative, is it negative? Really? or are they simply experiencing a painful moment that they have not fully been able to process and respond to in a more favorable way? That has nothing to do with you most of the time, but it's more about how can I learn from this? Is this person is neither a friend nor an enemy, but they're a teacher. They're teaching me about them and about myself. And that's the way I view it. We have to take ourselves a little bit out of the situation and be stayed, be still, and really read what's happening in us and around us, as opposed to just being, this is happening to me. No, far from.
Right. So that brings me to another statement / question.
Yeah.
I watch basketball.
Oh, yeah.
I could never play basketball for the life of me, but I like
Okay.
the foundation of basketball, the dedication of basketball. There's this one coach, Phil Jackson. He uses a holistic approach to teaching his players. He has a Zen approach. He wanted them to listen to different sounds in the atmosphere and have a Buddhist approach to everything, doing yoga and things of that nature. So you having Third Eye FC, is that your approach with your players? Do you want them to try to meditate and try to have stillness and oneness for themselves that was going to help them on and off the field?
Not particularly. Why do I say this? Firstly, I'm Christian.
Okay.
Then in the team we have a plethora of people from all over the world. We have Afghanistan players, we have players from Yemen, we have players from Nigeria, Togo, France, Italy. I could go on and on and on and on. It would be remiss of me to impress my beliefs upon people, because we have, again, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, all types of people. But what I can say that is what underpins all of these things is know thyself. And if it is that you take the time to know who you are and who you're becoming, and you juxtapose that with who we are as a club, and you can see how those two can mesh or interlink, slowly we grow towards a place of harmony. Because you get to a place where you have tenets that you can take from other spiritual beliefs, but one thing you don't want to do is get to a point where you're impressing upon another person, because the Muslim folks in our group, they have very, very, very strict beliefs, and they're beautiful souls, they're great people, but you cannot be impressing certain things on them because it goes against who they are as a people and their beliefs. But we understand the biomechanics of the body. What does it take to get the body to function at its optimum? We do those things as far as it doesn't impress upon other people's beliefs. We understand how the mind works. It in and of itself is a tool. We understand that breathing is something that helps, but we don't want to lean into practices that impinge on other people's beliefs. We understand that we have a spirit side of us that needs to be attended to. So we find ways to practice things that, again, don't impinge on or make people feel uncomfortable, because harmony, and that's a part of the club's motto: victory, harmony in victory, victory in harmony. So we create that environment, and of course we have people from a lot of players from South America too, who are primarily Christian, lots of Brazilians and people from other South American countries. But we find a way to make it work and don't focus so much on impressing religiosity, but they do understand my beliefs and my standpoint, that Christian and the Muslim folks are respected as well. I'm respected, and everybody else. We just make it work, because love is what underpins everything, even on the field.
Right. So do you find at all, at any moment, with the people that are in different walks of life, different belief systems, that there is a situation where their beliefs bump heads with somebody else? No, because the commonality is the soccer, and that is the main goal.
And that's the beautiful thing in the world of sports. You find people are it's easier for people to come to a level of understanding because you're spending so much time with the person, and you're spending so much time learning about the other person, and because at that level of respect and camaraderie, people spend more time learning. Like our Muslim players are usually fasting at a particular point in the year, so we don't pressure them in training. We don't pressure them in games. Everybody understands that, okay, today in the game, we know that Mamadou's level is 70% today, though it's usually 100% because he's fasting and he's been fasting for 2 months or a month. So we're gonna play doubly harder to cover for him because we need him.
Yeah.
And we need the best of him. But in this moment, he's giving us his best, even though that's only 70% today.
Right.
And when we're training and the sun goes down and we know all the Muslim players need to leave the field to go pray or break their fast, there are no issues. It's all a one grand learning experience.
And that's a good thing that your concept in your ball club should be something that we use in society, that we all should respect everybody in their background and take the time out to learn and empathize what people are going to, what their belief system is. And once we can walk in somebody else's shoes, we could not have room to be indifferent. You know, indifference is something that shouldn't be in any aspect of any relationship or any part of our society, because that takes away from understanding what another human being is. Is there anything that you would like to tell my audience? Any lesson, any words of wisdom that you want to leave with them? Even though our whole interview is about leaving and inspiring other people to be the best versions of themselves, is there anything that you want to specifically say to them that they could leave with? Any tidbits?
Oh, sure. This was a one-liner. Okay. Wisdom is like water. First, fill your cup before you begin to pour.
And we are not going to elaborate on that. We are going to allow you to take that and instill that in your everyday life and try to be the best versions of yourself and be understanding in anything that you do, that there are different people from all walks of life. And they have different belief systems, they have different strengths, different weaknesses, and 10 times out of 10, if you are a forward-thinking person, you are going to move forward with your strength, and you're going to wear your weaknesses as a badge to try to make that a strength moving forward. So on that note, Mr. James Black, I thank you for coming on the show. And this is another episode of Creators Corner. My name is James Dale, and see you on the next one.
Peace.